Welcome guys to my channel and another video. This time I have been inspired by Minnie Small's little setup. She did a 2-camera setup for her year in review video, and I thought I'd give it a try because it works for what I'm doing. I want to talk about my year, but I'm going to be talking about my sketchbooks that I filled in the year. So I have all of these. So this year was probably the first year where I actually intentionally filled sketchbooks. It's the first time that I've actually done it for an entire year. I started keeping a sketchbook in September of 2017. So actually it's been nice for all of 2018 to have a sketchbook. And yeah, I just wanted to chat through, show you what I created. Hopefully the video won't be too long, but if it is, you know, just put it on in the background and enjoy it. Maybe skip through bits that you want to. But yeah, I'm hoping this setup works. I'm using my phone, so if I don't look directly at you, it's because the camera is off to one side and I'm not used to it. Let me show you my sketchbooks. So the first book I'm going to share with you is actually of my Porthleven series. Now these ones aren't dated, but I can see from my Instagram account that this one was done the 25th of December, and I think, yeah, that was the 29th, and then this one is done in the beginning of 2018. So this is of Porthleven, and all of these in this little book of Porthleven, because if you've been watching my channel, you'll know that I have been, over that period, I was sketching pretty feverishly every day to capture Porthleven. And yeah, it was quite a big part of my life, sketching Porthleven. And as we lived in Porthleven at the time, it was so easy to go out with my sketchbook and just capture all of the different areas around the village. I really love this lettering here, it really caught my eye. You can see slight mottled effect, and that's actually from the salt that was in the air on that day when I sketched. As you can see, I was just using my black brush pen with a black wash. One of my favourite ways of sketching. I just really like it because it keeps it so simple. You don't really need a lot to go out with when you sketch. And this is a favourite spot of mine. It's where the wreck is studio, and he's collected all of the junk from the sea and made lots of sculptures from it. So it's really quite a brilliant place to go and sketch. There's always like new things that you see. And there we have it. That was the end of that sketchbook. I had another sketchbook full, and that I completed from September to December I completed. So that was the end of the Porthleven series. I wanted to just show you what I created actually from those sketchbooks, and this was Porthleven in Postcards. So I chose then, this is a sample, so it's looking a bit shabby at the moment, but I basically chose 15 of the images and made them into this postcard book. This is all professionally printed, and the paper was like as close to the original textured version. I was just really pleased with this project, the way it came out. And on the back of each postcard I put a bit of the history of the place. So it means that when you send your postcard, the person who receives it has an idea of where it is, and it just, I think, makes it just more interesting. You can also just take these out and put them, frame them up and put them on your wall. I was just amazed that of the quality that I was able to reproduce just from this size of a sketchbook. On to my next sketchbook. I think this one, yes, from March. Actually did put dates this time, which is handy. So, yeah, again, I was still living in Porthleven at this time, and yeah, I guess I just wanted a different format, and this was quite a jump for me because it was going from A6 landscape to like suddenly double page spread. As you can see, I still felt probably more comfortable making smaller sketches, so what I did was split the page up. This was in Truro. Red roof. Back to Porthleven. As you can see, I started to incorporate colour, but then keeping it a very limited colour palette. And then this was Kynant's Cove, and you can see the colours here were very different to Porthleven, bringing in more greens and browns. Here's some of the cottages that were in Porthleven. More views. And then this was in Morgan Parish Church. I hadn't actually gone inside a building and sketched the inside, so this is where I took the opportunity to do that because it was so quiet, and I tried to capture more of the details. And here you can see I really went to town on the details. Sometimes it's nice just to do that. And then that was the outside of the building. I spent the whole day there, so it was just nice to sketch all the different angles. And I love being around gravestones, they've just got so much history on them. Okay, and then I don't know what was going on. Just decided to sketch my ink bottles. Oh, I think that was because I needed an image of an ink bottle. Helston Boating Lake, Helston High Street, and then Porthleven again. I think I was still going out quite early to sketch, even though I had done the project. I just was in the habit of going out and sketching. Oh yes, the preparations are starting for the food festival. So yeah, every year Porthleven hosts a rather large food festival, and so all around the village little things were starting to happen. So this signage went up, and then this was looking over onto the harbour area, and you can see all the red bits. The flag started coming up. And then this was during the festival. I love just again capturing it with all the flags and the different landmarks. Oh, I think this was the day that one of my YouTube subscribers came and visited me, Claire. It was really good to meet her and have a conversation. We both sketched the village, so it was a really, really hot day. I remember that. And then I decided to go and sketch some of the stalls with some people. As you see, most of my drawings don't have a lot of people. I tend to shy away from drawing people. So I was like, right, I'm going to try and draw some people. It didn't last long though. I've gone back to objects here. But this was quite a nice way of recording stuff. And then this was a really busy field, Moore's Field, with all the children's, and there was a pram and lots of stall holders. One of my favourite stores, Sapling and Bud, they do cacti and succulents. It always looks really nice. And then this was afterwards. Oh, and then this was when I went on a walk past Porthleven along the coastal path, and there was just this amazing wild gorse field just full of really yellow flowers, and the scent was just overpowering. It was so strong, so I just went in and lay down and then sketched a little bit. And I sketched looking, I think that was looking back to Porthleven. And then more of Porthleven, the Ship Inn, Harbour Cafe. And cows. Oh yeah, I did some cow studies. I always think the best way to actually draw animals is to be able to look at them, to have them in front of you. That's not always possible, but if you have the chance, then definitely do it. Oh yes, and then this was when we went to Truro and my husband had his hair cut in his usual salon, Jabba the Cut. This was a new place for Jabba the Cut. They've just moved and it was into a really old building, and I just really loved the objects that are in there. As you can see, I've just chose a few colours to highlight: the red and the turquoise colour, and then the goldy yellow. And that's the outside of the building. You see the cobbles and the old windows, just very full of character. This is back in Porthleven again. And this was the tea break, I think. My sister came and visited. Oh yeah, this was during a sketch walk that I led at Truro Arts Centre. So first of all, I think we did talk about just drawing and having sketchbooks around you, and I got them to draw their tea. And then we went out into Truro and drew different bits of it. It was really enjoyable. It was the first sketch walk I'd done as well, and there were about 9 people on the workshop. I remember feeling really quite daunted at first, but once we started sketching and going around, it was a lot easier. And actually during this time, this is when I was thinking I'd love to lead some sketch walks around Porthleven, as I knew it so well. So I just thought it would be really enjoyable to offer that to people who were staying maybe in the area or on holiday, or even, you know, people who don't normally come to Porthleven. I'd be able to show them Porthleven and they'd get to sketch. And so this, I think during this time I was still thinking about how I would do that. And then this was the day that we moved from Porthleven, and we moved into Mullion, which is only 20 minutes away from Porthleven, and it's just on the Lizard. So we've got share the same coastline. It's just a bit further down the coast. And I think so we moved on the 26th, and then I sketched on the 28th. And this was the view from Love Rock. This was Pelurian Cove. You see lots of flowers were out. So we're in May at the moment, so hence the amount of flowers. And that was quite an interesting building. I think this is one of my favourites, this view down by Mullion Cove. And I think on the day that I sketched this, it was quite misty, and there was one little boat in the cove. The wind had died down, and it just had a lovely tranquil quality to it. And actually this is when I put the wash down first and then drew on top with the brush pen. So normally I've been doing it the other way round, where I put the brush pen on and then fill in the, almost like colouring in. But this way I did it another way round, and it just felt completely different. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it felt different. Oh yeah, and then in Mullion and Porthleven, the wind is so strong, and you can see the way that the trees have just been shaped by the wind. And that's the end of that one. At the same time as using this book, I also started this book. Just because I think I just wanted to have another small book, just because it felt less intrusive. But anyway, this book is quite interesting because I started it in February, and I kind of did it alongside this book, but it felt very different in that I started with the brush pen and then just didn't really like how it was going on the pages, so I changed to fine liners. So the rest of this book is all fine liners. So actually that's interesting, isn't it? That the books that you choose can actually influence what pen you use. So yeah, I enjoyed though getting out the fine liners, and I think the size actually works really well for fine liners. I remember now, this is when I started filming my creative conversations, and so I remember drawing this as I was getting ready. I also went up for a friend's birthday in Bude. Oh, and this was some kids' workshop prep. This was work for Royal Cornwall show. I was going to be doing the bag design, so this was actually some ideas. This was during the Meet the Maker challenge, and I guess I wanted to draw some of the prompts rather than just do photos. It's my routine, and that was during a meeting, I think, at the lifeboat house. Yeah, a public meeting. As you can see, I've annotated a lot more in this book, which I quite like. I love this quote: everyone is creative, everyone is talented, I just don't think everyone is disciplined. Dreams and plans. Oh, faces, don't look at that. That's an ugly page. Do not like that at all. And then this is the 100-day project, the start of the 100-day project. Let's just say I didn't finish the 100-day project. I enjoyed this though, enjoyed doing an alphabet, and something I probably will try to finish or come back to. I think the ones that work really well are the ones that have a simple colour scheme. I can draw close, just people. Their faces, I think. Quite like that nest. P. Love the plants. Q. And that's as far as I got. I have got a number of pages blank so that I could actually come back to it. This was in Mullion. I started to go out and sketch some of the houses. So this was in June, Mullion Meadows, and this is a llama field. Very funny animals. So I tried to sketch a few of them very quickly, and a hen. Some flowers. Oh, that was Wrecker's Yard. Oh yeah, this is when I started to do the sketch walks in Porthleven. Also, this view from Peveril Road was one that I got the group to go back to quite a few times. These were my neighbour's plants. Oh, this one I tried using a calligraphy pen, but because the ink wasn't waterproof, it meant when I added the watercolour here, it started to bleed. So I kind of quickly stopped doing that. Used the fine liners at this point, palms and veg. You can see that I'm jumping between fine liner and the brush pen. This was when I visited Caroline Pedler, one of my creative conversations. This is the Old Inn in Mullion. This was a very, very quick sketch in a traffic jam. But I thought, oh, I'll just sketch. That was the house that we lived in Porthleven. This was in Mullion High Street. Oh, and then there was this something in Mullion called the Garden Safari, where people open up their homes and let you go and wander around freely. So I thought, great, I can go and take my sketchbook and I can go and have a nose in other people's gardens and draw their flowers. So this was a great opportunity to go and draw flowers and plants. Since moving to Mullion, I think there's a lot more gardens and plants and flowers. So it kind of influences the work that I draw. More people. And this was Mullion Cove. Some boats. Back to my black and white there. Progress on the neighbours' flowers. And this was in Truro. I actually really like this spread. And that was Fat Apples Cafe. Because I'd done so much greenery and gardening, I started thinking I would love to run a workshop in a garden. And so I started thinking of cottages being a great place to hold a workshop. So I got in touch and they were really enthusiastic for me to come and run one. So this is when I was just drawing in that space. And that's when I created this little journal, which I've got a whole video on. And so do check that out if you want to have a look at it more in detail. I really hope that I can do more of that, I think, this year. So yeah, that's the end of that one. I also this year wanted to work on a different scale completely, and I'd seen this kind of book where it's a concertina book, and you basically can have a never-ending pages. And so I decided to kind of challenge myself to draw in this book alongside all the other sketchbooks. And so this is how far I've got. I haven't quite completed it. I think in total it's about 72 pages, I think, back and front. So I'll just show you where I've got to anyway. So most of this is all based around Mullion. So I'll just show you what I've done. So that was July that I started sketching in this anyway. I've got to admit, these are my favourite. I just really love the way I labelled up the bits. And they're kind of like little snapshots of the cove. In fact, I made a print for a lady from these icons, because her husband actually owns this boat, and so she was like, oh, I really love that, please can I have the original? Obviously I couldn't give her the original because it's in a book, but I basically scanned it in and made a print, which I can show you. It's here and here, so you can see kind of does work as a print. I think it's quite a nice idea actually, and maybe something I should do with more of my sketches is to scan them in and make them into something that people can hang on their wall. This was a farm building, and then there was this house here which wasn't derelict, but it looked kind of like it was. And then there was the Grand Mullion Cove Hotel. Very hot day, remember it was a very hot day. this is the co-op. And then this is Mullion Village Hall. Got the church, the parish church, and then the village high street, Mullion Garden. And then we've just got a couple more here. Now I did a video on this one, so you may recognise it if you've been following. And then this one, Porthleven Beach Cafe, and that's the final one in this book. So yeah, that was good to work in that way. I think we're moving now into October, and I just did a couple. This is not really a sketchbook, but I just did a few from Inktober. This was when we were up in Sheffield, and I just drew one of the old warehouses. At this point, why I was drawing in this was I think I just hadn't ordered myself another sketchbook. I was a bit disappointed because you know, sometimes you get into a habit and it's really good to keep going. So I then ordered myself 2 more sketchbooks. These are my current sketchbooks that I'm working in. So as you can see, they're a lot bigger. One's portrait, one's landscape. I was using dip pens for this. Not sure I would use it really going out in the field because it's very awkward to do that. That was Christmas Day. I'm not happy with this really at all. But you know, that's sometimes the way it goes. And then this drawing I did of my mum in the kitchen and my dad as well. And I just love the brush pen. I think that'll be my tool of choice. Just really find that you get all sorts of different line qualities in it. I just really love the fact that it's not definite line, and that it just feels a lot more fresh and scratchy, and I think that's just me. And then just in here, just a couple. Oh, this was beginning of December. I quite like it. And then I just started on the high street before there was a massive hailstone storm, so that's as far as I got. But I would love to keep going, keep doing more, maybe high streets. It'd be cool to do a whole long high street. So that's it. So thanks so much guys for staying with me. If you made it this far, then you really are a friend. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed having a look through my sketchbooks this year. Let me know your thoughts on keeping a sketchbook. I would love to hear your advice or your tips for how you keep your sketchbook, and maybe what sketchbooks you prefer to draw in. Do you have a size that you particularly love? Most of the sketchbooks I've used are Moleskine, but the ones that I particularly enjoy using are the textured art paper that they use. It just seems to hold my ink better than just the smooth one, but it all depends what you want and what you're looking for in a sketchbook. Thanks again guys for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye!